All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first OptiGPU live stream. Now, we're on my laptop today. In the future, we'll be on my iPad, which has a much better webcam and microphone. So just bear with me here. This is my first live stream. It's kind of like your first time riding a bike. I think the first time I rode a bike, I ran into a parked car, but hopefully we'll do a lot better here for the first live stream. So welcome. I'm really happy to be hanging out with you guys. This is the channel where our goal is to rescue 1 million old office PCs from landfills. I'm going to be keeping tabs, so I'll let you know when we hit 1 million. We're going to have a big celebration. So stick around to the end today for a perk that you're not going to want to miss. I'll keep you around till the end to let you know about that. It has to do with our shop store, so it's exciting. So we're going to start out with burning questions, then we'll get into some channel news. So if you're ready, type ready in the chat, and here we go. So now it's time for a segment I like to call burning questions. I would do something with regard to burning, so some kind of visual, but I think we're under a burn ban over here right now, so I probably shouldn't do that. So it's time for that burning questions segment. One question I get all the time and has been very popular in this last week is, do I upgrade my power supply on my old office PC, or will it be okay to run my low profile graphics card and all the things that I want to do? Well, that's kind of a tricky question because there are a lot of factors involved. So make sure if you're putting those questions in the comments that you let me know what you're using. What's your CPU? Are you using a solid state drive or a spinning hard disk drive or both? How many things are going to be plugged into your USBs? What about your optical drive? Are you going to have an optical drive running or not? I think in one of my first videos, I talked a little bit about replacing an optical drive with an SSD. And the things that used to go in those optical drives, they're like tiny little frisbees for all you kids. If you don't know, if you haven't seen one of those before, you can throw them. They fly pretty well, but they used to actually hold your programs, and they could even hold files and things like that. So make sure when you're talking or when you're leaving a comment that you give me details on what is actually going on in your PC, so I know how much power everything is going to be utilizing, and we can tell you how much power is going to be remaining. The good news is, if you're using small form factor PCs like I do, the low profile graphics cards don't pull a whole lot of power. At most, they're going to be pulling about 75 watts. So I have a cheat sheet here for power supply math. The GTX 1650 is probably the most power hungry of the popular cards right now. It's going to pull a maximum of about 75 watts. It's not going to be doing that all the time, just when it's under high stress. And that's really the case for all your computer components. If you're doing the math to figure out if you need to upgrade your power supply, you need to check to see what's the maximum that every component is going to be pulling, and then just assume that there might be a time where everything could be pulling the maximum, and that's how much of a power supply you need. There are websites out there that help you calculate your power supply needs, but keep in mind, those websites are trying to sell you power supplies. So they're going to overestimate your needs and tell you that you're going to need, 400 watt power supply for a small form factor or something like that. I haven't really been using those for mine. I just do the math and make sure that when I'm getting my hands on an old office PC, if I can dictate what kind of power supply it has, I'm going to want to go with the 220, 240 watt power supply. And here's why. Your CPU, now these are the averages. This is based on Dell Optiplexes and just what I've seen, the high end of the average. The CPU is going to draw about 65 watts. The rest of the motherboard, including all the USBs, on average about 30 watts. And then your optical drive is going to draw about 30 watts. Other things that don't draw that much power would be your solid state drive at about 4 watts. If it's a spinning hard drive, maybe about 6. And about 6 watts if you're running 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. DDR3 because we're talking, again, old Office PCs. So that in total is going to be about 135 watts. So you add the GTX 1650, that's 75 watts. Or if you go with an A2000, that's 70 watts at maximum. Or if it's a single width card like the RX 6400, it only draws a maximum of 53 watts. So again, in summary, the GTX 1650, you're going to need a total of about 210 watts. The A2000, about 205. And the RX 6400, about 188. So you could just, off the top of my head, I know those small form factor Optiplexes will come with a power supply around, the small side. The low end will be 180 watts or so, and the high end will be about 240 watts. So if you're running a dual width card, go for the 220, 240 watt power supply. If you're going with a single width card, you could be okay with the 180 watt. Just don't plug every single thing into your computer that you can at once and try to run a game off of an optical drive, and you should be okay. So hopefully that answers some of your questions out there. I know, I was a bit vague, and that's really because there are a whole lot of factors involved. But most of the time, if we're talking small form factor, you're not really going to need to upgrade the power supply. And if you can choose, go with the larger size, and you should be okay when you're talking low profile graphics cards. All right, so that was our burning questions segment. So now we're going to go on to some channel news. So we've got some exciting news coming up in our news segment. We're monetized now. Well, sort of. We're monetized in the way of we can have a channel store, a swag store. We can do memberships, and we can do the super thanks or super chat. I've enabled all three, but I'm going to kind of slow play it to make sure that I'm able to handle all three before I really go all in. So today I'm just going to be talking about the super thanks and our swag store. So the super thanks and super chat is a great way to see videos that you'll want to see faster. I can make videos a lot faster when I get my hands on the games that you're wanting to see. A lot of times in the comments, you'll ask me to test games that I don't currently own. And just so you all know, my channel is fully self-sustaining. I have a day job, but none of that day job money goes toward my channel. So if my channel makes any money, all of it goes right back into the channel to make great content for you all. So if you're wanting me to get my hands on a new game faster, just put that in the super chat or the super thanks button, and just name the game, and then put an amount that you can put towards helping me obtain that game. Also, it can help me get tools we need for the channel, like maybe a video capture device so that I'm not just pointing my phone at a monitor or TV screen. That can give you a lot better of an idea of what the game is actually going to look like to you, not just how it looks like on my screen. So that is super thanks. So that is live and we can use it right now. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is our swag store. I've got a little bit of our swag right here. One of my shirts that I have up there. We use Fourth Wall for our swag, and that's the same service that Marquez Brownlee uses. So a little bit of a name drop there. but I'm sure he knows when it comes to technology what works and what's best. I go to him for all of my technology buying decisions. So our swag store, you can access it a couple different ways. You can either use the YouTube shelf, which is going to be right below the comment section if you're on a phone and you're watching my videos. It will show you some of the things that are available on the swag store, or you can just go to the link in the description of this video or all of my videos, and you can find the link that's optigpu-store.fourthwall.com. So, are you guys ready for the perk? Here we go. So if you're ready, type "let's go" in the chat. Here's the perk. The first 100 people to use the code Livestream in all caps. The code is Livestream. One word, all caps, at checkout on my store, get their first order 20% off. How about that? So we talked about power supplies, we've talked about the super thanks, and we've talked about my swag store. Those are all ready to go. So now I've got an assignment for you all. Make sure that you're one of the first 100. If you're watching this video, you're special to me. So make sure you're one of those first 100 to go to that shop store at OptiGPU. Man, I can't say my own name. OptiGPU-store.fourthwall.com. Make sure you're one of the first 100 so you can get 20% off your first order. I did a little bit of market research, and this is probably going to be one of our top sellers. This tumbler has been great. I've been using it for about a week now. It's practically indestructible, and it looks really awesome. So get yourself one of those. All right. I'll see you all next week. Noon on Sundays. Here we go.